Welcome to Ole Walls House. It's me. It's your man. It's Ole Walls. I'm back again. Episode number 105 coming your way, ladies and gentlemen. And as always, just want to start by saying thank you. Thank you very, very, very much. I appreciate all the support. Thanks for the watches, the listens. I appreciate it so much. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We're just going to start off doing that little housekeeping as always. If you could, please rate, review, comment, subscribe, and share. It helps out. So thank you for all that. Thank you to producer Kevy. As always, he gets the show going. Fun show coming your way. We're talking football. We're talking the Green Bay Packers. We're talking the playoffs. College football national championship. We got some Flyers talk. UNC basketball. There was some golf this weekend. My passing thoughts, as always. Before we do that, though, you know the deal. We got to talk Liquid IV. If you want Liquid IV, 20% off. Promo code is OWH. Go to liquidiv.com or you get it, or you go to the link in the show notes below. You know the deal. All the great flavors, the travel size packs that are good for on the go. 3 times the electrolytes or 3 times the hydration of water alone. 3 times the electrolytes of your leading sports drinks. They're donating water all over the place. Liquid IV, 20% off. Promo code OWH. All right, let's get into the show. Ladies and gentlemen, the Green Bay Packers are going back to the playoffs. Woo! Packers outlast the Chicago Bears on Sunday, and we're heading back to the playoffs, baby. I can't tell you how thrilled I am. It was one of this helmet's quite small. It's from my childhood. If you can't tell, it's quite tiny. So the Packers, they outlast the Bears in a game they probably should have won by more, but man, I can't begin to tell you how thrilled I am to be watching the Packers in the playoffs this year. That's something I did not think I was going to see at the beginning of the year. A tough start, but here we are. The Packers had to win their final 2 games after kind of a sloppy couple bad losses, but we're here. We did it. 17-9 victory over the Chicago Bears. And the Packers, after starting the year 2-5, they win 7 of their last 10, and here we are. We're going to the playoffs. We're gonna play the Dallas Cowboys. There's gonna be a little more talk of that. Someone's gonna stop by to talk a little bit about that matchup with me here in a little bit. But man, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. It was sloppy. In a game that they won 17-9, they probably should have won by more. Had a couple opportunities that they didn't cash in on. A couple balls didn't get caught in the end zone. But hey, they got it done. Like I said, it was sloppy. First drive of the game, moving it down the field nicely, and then Love gets sacked, knocks him back to the not the edge of field goal range, but back in field goal range. Carlson misses the kick. So that wasn't great, but then did get a touchdown on the next possession. On just their 3rd possession of the game, they only had 1 possession in the first quarter, and then they hold them for a field goal late in the second quarter, get the ball, get it down into field goal position, but then there's just mistakes after mistakes. I'm just going to read you how that went. I had a nice summary of it. LaFleur didn't call a timeout after the sack of Fields. At first, I kind of yelled to the TVs, and this is what led to the field goal. I was like, "Oh, call the timeout!" And I was like, having 2 timeouts might not be the worst thing." Then Kraft doesn't go out of bounds. Love did almost throw a pick there, not too long after, or in one way or somewhere around there. I forget exactly. But Kraft doesn't go out of bounds. He has an easy way to step out of bounds. He cuts it back infield. That costs a bunch of time. A second pass to Kraft, and he can't get out of bounds this time. End up running a play with 11 seconds on the clock. You partly wonder if that was because of Carlson's miss before, and then they don't get out of bounds again. They get out of bounds, but he's going backwards, not forward, so forward progress holds off. So just a bad end of the half. It made you wonder. They did come out and score again, and they were kind of moving the ball again and late in the third. And Love did try and pick up the first and cut it in, and just a great play from, I forget which Bears defender, just put his head right on the ball, helmet right on the ball. and knocked it loose. So a costly fumble, but we get it done anyway. We get it done. Love made a fantastic throw, and play and throw. Got out of the pocket, found someone cutting across the middle to pick up a first down. They did then need one more first down after that, and Aaron Jones got it. But man, it's I'm excited, man. I'm as pessimistic as I was starting the season. They're 2-5. Then they kind of get things rolling the right way again, and they drop games to the Giants and Bucks in back-to-back weeks after they just ripped off 3 in a row and beat the Lions and the Chiefs. And then they get a little help along the way, just enough. They hold on against the Panthers. Oof. Then just blow out the Vikings, and here we are. We're heading to the playoffs, and it can't be understated how good Jordan Love has been. I'm eating crow on that guy. I did not think he was the one. He was looking terrible to start the year, but then over the last 8 games, they were 6-2. He threw 18 touchdowns with just 1 interception. Over the last 10 games, they go 7-3. He goes 21 TDs to just 3 interceptions. That's second in the league for touchdowns. He finishes second in the league in touchdowns overall. But again, in this 10-week stretch after the loss to Minnesota, 2,677 yards, second in the touchdown, 25 big-time throws. Don't know what that means, but that was second in the league. A 90.9 Pro Football Focus passer grade. That's second in the league. A 105.2 rating, third in the league. 144 first downs, second in the league. Adjusted EPA a play, whatever that means, 0.250, second in the league. CPOE, whatever the fuck that means, 5.4. That's first. And a success rate, again, don't know what these numbers all correlate to, but it was second in the league. He played well. I'm gonna hold off on we've got the next in the line of Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Let's still pump the brakes there. Just pump them a little bit. Dip, dip. But man, I'm excited. It's going to be a tough matchup in Dallas. The competition we've been playing, kind of coming down the stretch, hasn't been the greatest since the Chiefs and Lions, but they've been winning. They've been doing their job, and now they're going to Dallas with house money. Like, there's no expectations on this team. Nobody's expecting them to go in there and win. But here we are. The youngest team in NFL history to ever make the playoffs. I don't know if you've heard that the Packers are a young team. Don't know if you've caught any of that while watching the games, but the Packers are a young team, the youngest in NFL history to make the playoffs. And man, I'm ecstatic. I can't tell you how happy I am that they make the playoffs. And you know what? Screw it. Go into Dallas, do something, shock the world, and then you probably go to 49ers to get the shit kicked out of you if you make it bad. But man, what a fun time to be alive. This team's way ahead of schedule, I think, and they've been getting contributions from interesting guys. Well, first off, Aaron Jones being back, being healthy. They hadn't had a 100-yard rusher all year, in any game this year, and Aaron Jones went over 100 yards the last 2 weeks. Aaron Jones against the Bears here, 22 carries, 111 yards, just great. I believe he was also over 100 in the previous week against the Vikings. Let me double check that. Yeah, 20 carries, 120 yards. So running the ball well. Dillon was out. No Christian Watson again. So it's receiver by committee. And this week, Dontavian Wicks had another nice game. I don't know, man. I'm just excited. Jaden Reed playing well. Bo Melton kind of popping up out of nowhere. Wicks had the 2 touchdowns. Tucker Kraft had some nice receptions. Could have got out of bounds. I know that. But man, it's fun. It's fun. It's fun to be a team with no expectations, and you're just getting in there. And you're just going for it. And I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I'm eating a lot of crow on Jordan Love. I was super, super pessimistic about him. I've been pessimistic about him since we drafted him, when it felt like we were a couple pieces away from winning a Super Bowl with Rodgers. But at this exact moment, with the way Love has played the second half of the season, it's tough to argue with the moves made. Now, That doesn't mean it's going to be, all rose-colored glasses forever. He could look like absolute dog shit this next week in Dallas. That doesn't mean I'm writing him off for next year, but it's going to be a different thing next year. Finish second in the division. You're going to be playing a little better schedule. I think we're on a third place schedule this year. So moving up a little bit in competition, there's going to be more expectations. Even after beating the Chiefs and beating the Lions, the expectations were sky high, and they had a letdown in New York against the Giants, and then had a letdown against the Bucs. The Bucs are a playoff team. That should be noted. But it's exciting, man. I'm excited for it, and let's move on to talk with Jeff Slanovic here as we talk a little bit about the playoff matchup with the Dallas Cowboys. Joined now by noted, very sane, logical, even-keeled Cowboys fan, Coach Jeff, former Coach Jeffy. He's in you're not even in the public sector, but development Jeffy now. Jeff, welcome to the show again. Have you in here? We got a fine matchup coming this weekend. My Green Bay Packers, your Dallas Cowboys, in Dallas. The Cowboys locked in the division win over the weekend. Let's just dive into it. How you feeling? Are you nervous at all? Cowboys, all the pressure in the world, high expectations. Haven't lost a game at home this year. They might be due. What are you thinking?
Yeah, they've been obviously very, very good at home. You just hate to see the type of collapse that happened to the Philadelphia Eagles happen to the Philadelphia Eagles. Because 6 weeks ago, I won't lie, I thought the Cowboys were a pretty good football team, but the numbers are what the numbers are, and they're just a very average football team when they don't get to play in the confines of Jerry World. And it didn't look like they were going to get to play in Jerry World, despite being really the third best team in the NFC for much of the season, them or the Lions, but happened to be playing in the same division as the Eagles, who for the first 60% of the season or so looked like one of the best teams in the NFC. And now, if it was the college football playoff, they probably would be out. They'd be voted somebody else in. So I feel good. I do think the Packers happen to be a good matchup for the Cowboys. I'm sure we'll talk about that here a little bit, but they're playing well. I mean, they beat 9 teams by 20 points this year, won 9 games by 20 points. I think 8 teams. Giants got double dipped there. And they're really, really explosive at home. I think I saw something on Twitter today that in their 8 games at home, they went over their team total in 7 of them. So Jordan Love's going to have to score some points this week, I think.
Yes, that's for sure, because the fucking Packers defense is going to get absolutely fucking torched on Sunday. They also put this in the Cowboys slot, 4:30 on Sunday.
America's team slot.
Yeah, this game is going to get a massive number, I would have to imagine. Cowboys and Packers, 2 of the biggest fan bases in the NFL. But yeah, did the Cowboys like when coverage is playing about 20 yards off the ball, give or take, at any given time? I mean, 3rd and 18, you ever run into one of those, the Packers defensive back's going to be about 25 yards deep. So the passing game of the Cowboys is going to be an issue. And it's not like the Packers' run defense has been great. So there are going to be opportunities all over the field for Dak to just sling it. I did see, I think this is the first time ever. It may be the first time ever in the wild card. It may be just be in not sure exactly when, but first time ever that the top 2 passers in a conference are matched up in a playoffs, at least the wild card. It might be playoffs in general. It can't be that, but Jordan Love, second to Dak in passing touchdowns this year. So
I was just talking about that to a buddy of mine yesterday while we were watching the 4:00 slate of games. It seems crazy that both of them would be the 2 league leaders in passing, considering that just, 7 or 8 years ago, it felt like you had to have 50.
Mm-hmm.
And now at 35, 34, what did Dak end up with? Something like that?
Yeah, 35 or 34. I'm pulling it up right now.
Seems crazy because you keep thinking like offenses, but really maybe the league isn't very good on offense right now as a whole.
36 for Dak, 32 for Love. The only other two guys north of 30, Brock Purdy and Jared Goff.
That seems insane to me. Absolutely insane.
The quarterback play this year has been a little suspect at times. A lot of injuries. But yeah, like even Mahomes only threw 27 touchdowns this year.
I mean, we grew up in an era where it felt like Peyton Manning and those guys were getting to like 3 a game for the season. Like 48 without question.
Let's look. We can pull this up. NFL passing leaders year by year. Oh, I don't want. Let's get touchdowns. Oh, well, I want it by year. These motherfuckers. So 2022, Mahomes had 41. There were just a couple guys. There were only 4 guys above 30 in 2022. 21, we had 43 and 41 from Brady and Stafford. There were a bunch of guys north of 30 that year. Then Herbert, Mahomes, Prescott, Rodgers, Allen, Joe Burrow, Kirk Cousins, Carson Wentz was down to 33. But yeah, shit, a lot of those guys not playing. Stafford's been hurt a lot this year. Herbert hurt. Rodgers out. Joe Burrow out. Kirk Cousins out. Kirk Cousins was having himself a year. He was going to get north of 30. 2020, Rodgers 48, Brady 40, Russell Wilson 40, Mahomes 38, Allen 37, Cousins 35, Roethlisberger, Tannehill, Watson all 33, Herbert 31. So yeah, you are onto something. There was definitely kind of a dearth in that. 2019 was similar. Lamar Jackson led at 36, Jameis Winston at 33, and then Russell Wilson and Dak, the only ones over. But yeah, it's been a little bit of an anomaly. There's nobody up with like Mahomes had 50 in 2018, and then there were a bunch of guys north of 30 that year too. So yeah, you've definitely noticed something that was true. I think a lot of it has to do with a lot of quarterbacks being out.
Definitely could be true, which is also a crazy thing to think about. The fact that we can't get 32 really good ones is kind of wild. I've always felt the same way about kickers.
10 really good? Oh, fuck, don't even. Oh.
There aren't 32 really good dudes that can kick a football through the uprights.
Seems you would think the kicker thing you'd be able to figure out. Like, I don't know.
I mean, the Cowboys guy didn't play in college. Like, you would think we'd be able to find 32 of just people.
Yeah, like there's dudes out there that are probably decent people who can kick a football that just didn't play football. Like, we're soccer players. And, like, what's an NFL kicker's making a couple mil a year?
If he makes the right kicks.
Like, you'd think that'd be enticing enough to draw some people in there.
Especially now, all the kicks are touchbacks. You don't even have to worry about tackling anybody anymore.
What, do you think they're just worried about getting lit up on a kick return?
Maybe.
So you worried at all? Packers have historically done well in Jerry World. Granted, that was mostly due to my man Aaron Rodgers, but Jordan Love playing good football. There is there are a bunch of no names at receiver, but there's a lot of them. Aaron Jones playing some good ball. Any worries from you about your Cowboys? Coming in and shitting the bed. Really letting you down.
No, because I think they're going to score enough points. I think my worry would be that the game gets slowed down if they get off to a slow start. I think my concern would be, like, let's say Dallas gets the ball first and they put together one of their patented drives where they go 35 yards and they're just over midfield and they kind of either like a 3rd and 6 holding call forces a punt, or they go for it on 4th and 3 and don't get it. And now all of a sudden you're at the end of the first quarter because the Packers put together a long drive and it's 3-0 or it's 7-0 Packers and the game's gotten really shortened. I think if they can get off to just a solid start, they're going to be able to put up enough points over time. I think the longer you let Green Bay stick around, and I think it's going to be interesting to see what Jordan Love looks like against our front four. I think my biggest concern would be that the Cowboys pass rush ends up being too good and Jordan Love ends up being able to improvise a lot. A la Aaron Rodgers. I know his touchdown throw the other day looked very Aaron Rodgers-esque, like kind of off his back foot, out of the side, slings it to just kind of a guy right before two defenders crash, right? If he can get outside the pocket, like I know Michael Parsons has been incredible. I want to bring it to everybody's attention. He still hasn't drawn a holding call in like 14 weeks, which
Don't
is
get
insane.
the fucking crew. Hopefully they don't get the crew the Packers just had because they were fucking allergic to calling holding yesterday.
But like if he just busts through too quickly and all of a sudden like he's out of it because Jordan Love gets outside the pocket, like now some real wonky things can start to happen. And a couple of those breakdowns that look like they should be sacks that become 15-yard plays really push drives.
The line on the game, 7.5. Your Cowboys are laying 7 and a hook, as the fancy kids say. Second biggest spread of the weekend. If you're laying money, are you laying money with your boys?
That number probably seems right. I would love to bet that line if the game ended with like 4 minutes to go. It feels like a great opportunity for like Dallas to be up 13 and Green Bay to score a meaningless touchdown that forces every Cowboys primetime game feels like it has an onside kick at the end of it in some facet that someone has to recover. Either Dallas does or Green Bay does. And this feels like one that in the third and fourth, like it feels like Dallas is up like a touchdown at halftime and they go up 2 touchdowns in the third quarter and there's never really a threat from Green Bay to like cut it to a possession where Dallas is at the risk of giving it back to them with a chance to tie it. But it does feel like a game that Green Bay can keep close enough that like the back door is going to be open for those who like to partake in that sort of activity.
Over under is 50.5. Again, second highest over under, only behind the Rams and the Lions. If you're going over under, where's your lean there?
I think I'm a little surprised it's not higher, to be honest. I think that speaks volumes to the fact that there's a chance that it becomes 35-10. And the Packers just can't score. They turned it over a couple times. Dallas scores nearly at will. And you sit there and you go, well, Dallas got a touchdown above their number. Packers just couldn't score, right? So, but it feels like a game that Dallas is going to get to 35, and you'd think that Green Bay can get to 20, right? Like, but I don't know. Those towers are big.
But yeah, the buildings in Vegas keep getting bigger.
I think I would lean over, and I think you're going to see the Cowboys minus 7.5 be a very, very popular teaser piece for a lot of people this week.
Do you think the number moves up?
I think it opened at 7, so I think it already has moved.
It's already moving up. Yeah, my prediction is the Cowboys win this game fairly easily. Packers don't necessarily get like blown off the field, but Cowboys score early and it's never really in doubt. Maybe Packers, get a quick score to match, but like it's going to be close for a little bit, but not very long. And then the Cowboys are just going to go. I mean, the Packers, this was not a team that was, expected to do. I mean, some people were saying they were going to win the division. I thought that was crazy at the time. And in hindsight, maybe it wasn't as crazy as I thought, but this is a team that's still a year away or two from being like super competitive. I mean, the receivers, Bo Melton, Dontavian Wicks, Romeo Dobbs, Jaden Reed, like those, there's like a new receiver that pops up every week for the Packers. It's like, It doesn't seem like they're quite ready for the moment. And they have been beating. I mean, I know they beat the Lions and they beat the Chiefs there, but they dumped a game to the fucking Giants. And, they weren't beating the highest skilled competition coming down the stretch. And the Cowboys were playing some good teams. Got saved a little bit when they played the Lions there, a little questionable officiating, but have been playing some better competition down the stretch.
Yeah, not to moral victory you before the loss actually happens, but I think that
I don't give a shit.
For a pessimist like you the last couple of years about said Packers, I'd like the spot that they're in right now, given where I think most people thought they'd be, right? Like the fear for the Cowboys being that the Packers are playing with house money, right? Like LaFleur's numbers late in the season are really, really good. There's no doubt that there are some challenges they could pose. The most popular thing the Cowboys love to do at home is have 2 long drives and 160 yards and 6 points because they settle for 2 field goals. And if the Packers can force the Cowboys to do that and find a way to get a touchdown, like all of a sudden they're up 7-6 early in the second quarter, and you're like, Dallas has dominated the game. Like Aaron Jones got loose for 165-yard touchdown run, and here we are, right? Like
it's almost like when the Packers get back down into the red zone, they can't play like the fucking prevent defense where they're playing soft coverage. Like it almost tightens them up to the point where they have to like play defense.
Yeah, and I'll actually give Mike McCarthy I know you're not a huge Mike McCarthy guy. I think the job.
I don't mind Mike McCarthy. I just think it got to a point in Green Bay where it was just time. Like
stale, yeah.
Pro coaches, like unless you're one of the greats, like it's tough to keep it like for long, long stretches. There was a lot of good McCarthy. There were some questionable moments for sure. I'm thinking back to that fucking Seattle NFC Championship game. But for the most part, I mean, it just ran its course.
Yeah,
I know you've had your druthers with him.
I don't trust him at the end of a half or the end of the game to figure out how to manage any sort of time or timeouts. But the one thing I do like is that he's trusting his defense.
He's calling the plays again too, right?
What was that?
He's calling the plays again too.
He is. Well, that was the thing. I think Jerry was like, we're giving you one more year. And he's like, okay, I'm in charge. Like, Kellen Moore, you're out. And we obviously saw what that looked like in L.A. this year. But the other thing I like is that he is trusting that, like, we've got arguably the best wide receiver, especially on the NFC side, but maybe in football based on the numbers in CD. And Jake Ferguson's become a really nice player at tight end. And whether I've always been the biggest fan of him or not, Dak's been one of the best quarterbacks in football this year. He hasn't turned the ball over a ton. And in 4th and 3 at the opponent's 37, he's been willing to go for it. And a number of games have really changed because of decisions like that, where in the past they'd settle for a field goal and it'd be 10-3 or 10-7, and then the defense would give up a touchdown and it'd be a tie game again, or they'd be down. And this year it's felt like when you get the Cowboys in 3rd and 8, you can't just force a 5 or 6 yard pass and get him off the field. Like, he might keep him out there on 4th and 2, and now you've got to guard CeeDee Lamb on a slant, right? Or you got to guard Pollard out of the backfield, or you got to guard Ferguson coming over the middle or a hitch route, right? And they've got a lot of weapons. And I think that's been the biggest difference for me is he's put trust in his guys, and they've responded. So I still don't know that they can run the ball effectively enough past this week. I
was going to say, I don't think it's going to be a problem this week.
But I do think they'll score enough points this week that, I mean, they played a game this year against the Seahawks where neither team punted, and they still scored enough points. So I feel like for this week that they've got the ability to score enough. They just can't turn the ball over.
Yep. Who do they play if they were to win? What's that look like?
So if all the favorites win, they will play Detroit at home, and the Eagles-Bucks will play the Niners.
Ooh. So
if the Lions were to get upset by the Rams, like many people think will happen, then the NFL will reseed. And the Eagles,
so then
the
Rams would go play the Niners,
Cowboys, and the Rams would go play the Niners.
Yep. Interesting. Well, Jeffy, anything else you'd like to add to this discussion before we call it quits? I think we hit the major points. We're before I let you go, if you want to add something, go for it. But I'm looking for a final score prediction here before you go.
Final score prediction. I'm going to say 34-17.
Ooh, I was pretty close. I'm going 38-20 Cowboys. So not too far off. But look out. House money. Packers are playing with house money. Cowboys, they're Super Bowl favorite, man. It's everything to lose for your Cowboys, everything to win for my Packers.
There's only one guarantee. It's however it ends, it's going to be crushing. I just don't know what round it'll be. It always is, whether it's the timed run short to get the field goal unit on the field and not be able to get something off that worked 100 times out of 100 on the practice field, or it's a botched snap or a pick six. It'll be entertaining.
Or a draw up the middle.
Yeah, that one. The run that
wasn't there a snap to Ezekiel Elliott alone in the backfield with one blocker too? Was that the same game?
One of those. I think that was 2 years ago. I get the two of the last 2 years. One was the Zeke and one was the draw.
Yep.
But to be honest, Dallas has got to win 2 games. If they can get to the NFC final, you can't really ask for much more. And I would say that about every team. If you're San Fran in football, it's the same thing. Football is the hardest sport of all the professional sports to consistently make it far. I think Mike McCarthy has done a wonderful job of putting the Cowboys in position to have a chance to do that every year. You got to beat a good team at some point, right? And you can't fault some of these teams that get there and they don't get all the way there. Something's got to break for you. Eagles fans would tell you last year the Purdy thing didn't matter, but that was big help for them. Like that matters.
The Packers, the year they won the Super Bowl, Jay Cutler got knocked out of the game in the NFC Championship
there you go.
game.
Exactly. And the fact that next year Dallas wins the division and Green Bay finishes second in the division, right? Like that's going to hurt them next year, right? Like they're going to play a tougher schedule because of that, which is going to make it tougher to go back to back and get to the same spot. So, yeah. But we'll see. America's team, back where America's team belongs. And for you, your night hopefully ends an hour earlier, which is good in Central Time there. But yeah,
I'm ready for it. I'm like I said, as pessimistic as I've been, I'm super optimistic. Unless they just get blown off the field, this is a win, regardless of what happens. I know the Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love and the rest of the team probably wouldn't think that, but as a fan, what I was expecting this year, it's been above and beyond. So it's all good. It's all good going into this one. So Jeffy, well, thank you, sir. I appreciate you stopping by. We'll see how it plays out on the field.
Yeah, I hope to be back. It'd be 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks from now, talking Super Bowl champs.
Well, if they make the Super Bowl, we'll have Jan again to chat about it. So we'll pencil that in.
Oh boy!
All right, Jeff. Appreciate it, buddy, and take her easy.
See you.
Okay, let's talk about the rest of Week 18 here. So Saturday, a couple Saturday games here. The Steelers get a win in the rain over the Ravens and kept their playoff hopes alive. Ravens sad everybody, but the Steelers did what they were supposed to, got the job done. And then the Saturday night game, the Texans with a rookie quarterback, a first-year head coach, win the AFC South rather, and punch their ticket at the time. That was a win and get in game, and they're in. And then, in the early batch of games, one of the only games that really had much going on for meaning, there were just a couple in that early set. And the Jags get upset by the Tennessee Titans, fall out of the playoffs, making way for the Steelers and the Bills to lock up their playoff berth. The Bills then no longer needed to win in Miami, which they ended up doing. But yeah, the Titans making the day for people in Pittsburgh and Buffalo at the time. The Buccaneers, Baker goes back to not California, Carolina. He goes back to Carolina and clinches the division with a win over the Bucs or over the Panthers. The Bucs get the win over the Panthers in a sloppy 9-0 game. But the Bucs will now host a game in the playoffs. In other news, in that early set, A couple other things of note. The Jets beat the Patriots in a snow game, in something I don't think I paid any attention to. But the question is that Billy B's last game as the head coach of the New England Patriots? There'll be more to see coming in the coming days here. A coach that's not going to be coaching anymore at his current location, Arthur Smith, gets blown out by the Saints. He's fired Sunday night. I think it came out around midnight-ish. In an interesting end to that game, the Saints do like a fake kneel and run it in for a very late touchdown. Interesting play call, and Arthur Smith was not pleased. He was motherfucking Dennis Allen by about the time he got halfway across the field. There was no handshake. He was pissed. I believe you could see that was fucking bullshit was said about the touchdown. I do have the general belief in situations like this that if you don't want someone to score a touchdown on you late and rub it in, just don't let them. And that's how it works. Now, granted, it was a little dicey how they pulled it off, but hey, again, you don't want people to score, just don't let them. Like, win the game, and then you don't have to worry about it. So there's that. Fantasy players will be thrilled. Is kind of the early read. People feel that Arthur Smith wasn't using some of his weapons down there. Bijan Robinson, one of those people, correctly. So Arthur Smith shown the door, the first NFL coaching casualty this year. Moving on to the next set of games, obviously the Packers, Cowboys dominate the Commanders, and the Cowboys were playing to win that division. Had they lost, the Eagles, who were playing the Giants, everyone thought that should have been a win. They could have wrapped up the division, but no. The New York Football Giants put it on the Eagles. And the Eagles, man, they are sliding. They're calling for Nick Sirianni's job now. I mean, this guy was God's gift to earth to Philly fans, and they are flipped on him. The Eagles have been on a downward trend. Jalen Hurts hurt his finger on his throwing hand, and ever since December, the Eagles have they've been sliding, man. They get blown out by the 49ers. They get blown out by the Cowboys. They lose to the Seahawks. They play a tight one against the Giants, lose to the Cards, lose to the Giants. So they end up finishing the year 11-6. What were they? Were they 10-1? Was that what it is? 10-1? They lost. Oh, not the Cowboys. I want the Eagles. I think they were 10-1. I mean, their defense is porous. So they've lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 of their last 6. Wow. What a debacle. What an absolute debacle. The Bills go into Miami. They get the job done there and win the division themselves after a rough start. They fire their offensive coordinator. And, all of a sudden they're hosting a game. So before we jump to the playoffs, Super Wild Card Weekend. It's Super Wild Card Weekend. In case you haven't heard, AFC North. Every team with a winning record, and Puka Nacua sets the rookie receiving records for both catches and yards. 105 catches, 1,486 yards for Puka. So yeah, we go to Super Wild Card Weekend. Super Wild Card Weekend, in case you guys didn't know. We open up with the Texans in their annual playoff slot. Wild Card Weekend, 4:30 game. Always used to be the ESPN game they always had, but ESPN has taken that Monday night slot now in Super Wild Card Weekend. But the Texans will host the Browns. The Browns sat everybody. I should mention this before we get to the playoffs. The Lions played everybody, and when they played the Vikings, the Lions and Cowboys played everybody. The Browns, Chiefs, Ravens, and 49ers sat all their big guys. So the Browns, for just the second time in 20 years, will be in the playoffs. They played just a couple weeks ago, but C.J. Stroud did not play in that game. So Can the Texans and their rookie quarterback and their first-year head coach get a win? Can the Browns get a playoff win? Then the night game on Peacock. Peacock, that'll surely make a bunch of people happy that the game's on Peacock. Peacock and Peacock alone. The Dolphins and the Chiefs. Tyreek Hill. It's reunion weekend in the NFL, by the way. Tyreek Hill heading back to Kansas City. This game is a rematch of the Germany game. It's going to be a cold one in Kansas City. The Chiefs and Dolphins will play a game that will be about 12 degrees at game time. 12 degrees. I'll make some picks while I'm going through here. Let me get some lines up too while I'm doing it, just so we can have a little fun. We got the Browns are giving 2.5 in Houston. I'm going to take the Browns to win and cover. Browns to win and cover. The Chiefs -3.5 hosting the Dolphins. Cold weather. I'll take the Chiefs to win, but I'll take the Dolphins to cover. I think that hook, that 3.5. I'll take Dolphins to cover, Chiefs to win. We move on to Sunday. The Steelers head to Buffalo. That's 1 p.m. Eastern time. The first game on Sunday. The Steelers are the biggest dog of the weekend. They're getting 10 points from Buffalo in a game they're not expecting a whole lot of scoring, a 35.5 over-under. I'll take the Bills to win. I will take the Steelers to cover. 10 points is a lot. I think, I don't know, man. No TJ Watt for the Steelers. Ooh. Also going to be sub-freezing temperatures in Buffalo with possibly some snow. The Bills also 7-1. 7-1 at home, and Josh Allen is 3-1 against the Steelers. I take the Bills to win, but not cover. I wouldn't bet that game. I will not bet that game. The night game, the Rams and the Lions. That will be another reunion. Jared Goff and Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford heading back to Detroit. I think this is the first time that he's been back there. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But this is the first time the Lions have hosted a playoff game in 30 years, dating back to like 1993 or 92, whatever it would be. I think that was still their last playoff win as well. So can the Lions, the new look Lions, take down a Rams team that's been kind of trending lately? Obviously, Jared Goff looking to prove some people wrong at the Rams. Hard to say that trade didn't work out for the Rams. But also on Sunday, we got the Packers and the Cowboys. Obviously, a reunion game there. Mike McCarthy is playing the Packers. Just the second time he's faced them. The Packers did win the last time. I don't think it's going to happen that way. By the way, Lions -3.5. I will take the Rams to both win and then obviously cover, getting those 3.5 points. And then the Cowboys are giving 7.5. I like the Cowboys, unfortunately, as I said before. I don't see how the Packers do it. And then Monday night to finish up Super Wild Card Weekend. The just stumbling, just falling into the playoffs. Eagles head to Tampa Bay. Baker a little busted up. I don't know. I don't know what to expect here. Eagles are -3. I would not bet that. I think they'll win, but I'm not putting money on it. Let's just put it that way. So if the teams I venture to guess win, that leads to a Chiefs-Browns matchup and that leads to a Chiefs-Bills matchup. Hell yeah, give me another one of those. And a Browns-Ravens matchup. And then it would be in the NFC, you'd be looking at Rams. Rams would be heading to San Francisco. And then the Eagles or Bucks, which I think will be the Eagles, but man, I don't know, heading to Dallas. So looking forward to a fun Super Wild Card Weekend. Who's got it better than Michigan? Nobody. The Michigan Wolverines are your college football national champions. Game that looked like it was gonna it was going to be a blowout early. Michigan looked like they were going to really run away with it. They went up 17-3 early in the second. End of the half, though, Washington made it a little closer, and they traded field goals in the third. And Washington had themselves a chance, I believe, to tie it, right? With 10, 17, 20. Wait. Yeah, it was 20-13. It was 20-13 at one point. And Washington was driving to score it, or had a chance to score it. I don't remember. Then there was also a questionable holding. Well, there was an obvious pass interference. The Twitterverse was up in arms about that. That's for sure. But in the end, Michigan busts a couple touchdowns in the second half. Penix throws a couple interceptions, and Michigan runs their way to a title. They get 134 yards from Blake Corum and 104 yards from Donovan Edwards, who hadn't scored a touchdown, I think they said, since the Penn State game, and scored a couple of touchdowns early on 6 carries. 6 carries, 104 yards for Donovan Edwards. J.J. McCarthy, 10 of 18 for 140 yards. So they were slinging it once again. Did not really go Washington's way through the air. Penix, 27 of 51. Everything that was going right for him against Texas went wrong for him here. So Michigan, through multiple scandals, plays 15 games. Jim Harbaugh does not coach 6 of them, but they are the national champs, and guess you just can't take that away from them. Jim Harbaugh, the rumors will fly. Michigan wants him to sign a contract that says he can't ever go back to the pros. There's going to be people pushing for him to go back to the pros. I'm hearing from, you're seeing Eagles fans want Harbaugh, Bears fans want Harbaugh. Doesn't seem like the Bears are going to get it now. They started to kind of build some. I think they might give their guy another year. But there's going to be pull to get Harbaugh to the NFL. The Chargers and Herbert. There's going to be a pull for Harbaugh. We'll see. So that is the end of the 4-team college football playoff. I think good riddance. It was a good step. Got us out of the BCS. I went into a deep, I won't say a deep dive, but I was Wikipediaing all the variations of the different ways that the NCAA tried to, not the NCAA, because the NCAA does not actually award a title in college football. That's the interesting thing. It's not an NCAA title in college football, which is all the more reason for the major conferences to be like, fuck you, NCAA. We're doing our own thing for football, and all the other sports you guys can run. But yeah, NCAA, not a title in football, technically. I was reading about the Bowl Coalition, which led to the Bowl Alliance, which then led to eventually the BCS, and how the Bowl Coalition and the Bowl Alliance were failures because basically they didn't get the Big Ten and the Pac-12 involved in the Rose Bowl, and then they finally got the Rose Bowl in it, and it all led us to the college football playoff, which was 4 teams, which was a huge step in the right direction from the 2-team thing. And what a disaster college football was. There was just no chance that there was going to be national title games in college football before the 90s when they started doing this. It just unreal. There's like stretches where they don't even like have a national title game, one that they could point to in college football. So next year, 12 teams. I think 12's too many. I think 8 would have been the number, but 12's fine. I think we're going to get some fun stuff. I think the playoff will be fun. There'll be a couple teams in there that don't belong. Penn State will be in there. They won't belong. They'll get their asses kicked. There'll be some blowouts. There's going to be some blowouts, and that's going to lead to people being like, this is fucking stupid. This is why we don't do this many teams. Whatever. You get more football. Do you really care that much? Do you really care that much? So, more football. More football is good. Can we just start it a little earlier? We made steps. This game ended at like 10:15 Central Time. This game usually fucking used to end at like 12:30 because it used to start damn near at fucking like 9 o'clock. I think it went to like 1 o'clock one year. So we're working in the right direction. I'm still a big believer of the fucking Rose Bowl should just be I'm all in on the Rose Bowl should be the national championship. It should be held on New Year's Day or like right around it, depending when New Year's Day is, how it is. In the Rose Bowl's time slot that kicks off at 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Central, 2 o'clock Pacific. Might as well throw 3 o'clock Mountain in there. And then it finishes at a reasonable fucking hour. Fuck off with everything else. All right, let's go. Let's keep going. Okay, Flyers time. Flyers update. 3 games for the Flyers this past week. Not the best results. 1-1-1 officially. 1 win, 2 losses though. I did get that overtime point when playing the lowly Blue Jackets on Thursday. Dumped a game to them, losing the shootout. That was unfortunate loss there. That felt like a game they should have won. Did come back Saturday and pick up a win over the Flames. I believe they even got that. They got down early in that game, if I can remember correctly. Maybe that doesn't tell me there, whatever. But either way, not the greatest week, not the worst week. They're holding on to that third spot in the division. And even if they fall outside of that, there's still a little hope that they can sneak into the wild card. They are tied with the Islanders for the third position points wise. They do place higher than the Islanders because of wins versus just straight points. So it could be worse, but we're doing all right. We're doing all right. 4 games this week. A couple games at home, couple games on the road. Got the Penguins here tonight, kicking off about the same time, just a little bit before the national title game. So it's a big game. The Pengs are right there in the division, the jumbled up metropolitan division. I like to call it metropolitan, but it's a jumbled up division. So a big game there. They then host the Canadians, who are a middling team, nothing crazy there. And then they head over to Minnesota on Friday. Wild, not great. That's another winnable game. So those first 3 games are very winnable. They do then head to Winnipeg to play the Jets on Saturday. The Winnipeg Jets. They are a division leader. So it's another week where there's possibilities for wins. Things can be done here. You can probably see Boomer sneaking in the background back there. But yeah, it's a week that there's possibilities. There's wins out there. There's things to be done to continue to make this trek towards a playoff push. I believe Travis Konechny was named a NHL All-Star. I don't know when the All-Star break is. I don't think that's till February, if I'm not mistaken. But hey, it's possible. It's possible. Keep things moving in the right direction, and there's a possibility to sneak ourselves into the playoffs here. So keep the hope alive. A lot of games in January and February here. So hopefully there's plenty of wins, plenty of points. Looking for those things. All right, let's keep rolling. Hey, college basketball season's in full effect for the Heels. Couple of wins in the league. All ACC games left on the schedule. They pick up 2 wins, move to 3-0, atop the ACC now. A couple wins on the road. Headed into Pittsburgh, picked up a win there. And then on Saturday, a good win over at the time the 16th ranked Clemson Tigers in Clemson. So a couple of solid wins going into a week where they head to NC State, who I believe is also undefeated in the league, also 11-3. The 3 teams atop the ACC, all 3-0 in the league and 11-3 overall. An in-state rivalry game for the Heels coming up. And then they host Syracuse, the Orange, formerly known as the Orange Men. The Syracuse Orange coming to town for an afternoon, a little afternoon delight on Saturday. Hopefully not too delightful for Syracuse. Obviously, the 2 big names on the Heels, Armando Bacot and RJ Davis. But a guy he's caught my eye is Harrison Ingram. He is a junior transfer from Stanford. He's playing about 32 minutes a game, a nice little 13-7 averages, points and rebounds. But I'm liking what I see out of him. I feel like he contributes. He didn't have many points the last 2 games, 7 and 9. Picked up a lot of those points late against Pittsburgh, too, if I'm not mistaken, if I can remember right. Just does a lot of good things out there, like creates for other players, can get to the basket, which is a nice skill to have. I like what I see out of him. I like what I see. And, maybe we can get Cormac Ryan going, shooting three. I don't think his percentage is too good right now, but a couple of games, and then they actually play. Wake Forest isn't for a couple weeks, so a couple of games this week. Wednesday, Saturday for the Heels. You don't like Wednesday, Saturday, Boom? You don't like that lineup? No, okay. But yeah, Wednesday, Saturday for the Heels. See if they can, continue this little streak they're on and pick up some more wins. Golf is back, and Chris Kirk is your winner. Chris Kirk wins the Century Tournament of Champions. Is it still the tournament? I don't know if it's still the Tournament of Champions. It's not just former winners from the previous year. You can get in other ways now. I think it's technically like considered an elevated or designated event, whatever they're calling it. I didn't catch much of it. Packers were playing. I saw some stuff, Thursday, Friday, and tossed. I think Saturday they played early. I had it on for a little bit, but I didn't. Not a ton of takes. I did see Chris Kirk absolutely fucking stoned one on 17 after a couple guys had tied it up with him late, and then he was able to come down 18 with a one-shot lead and just play pretty conservative and pick up a par for the win. Chris Kirk he's 38 years old. He played a bunch left-handed in the offseason. He was on like a quest to break 80 left-handed. I think I saw he got down to at least an 81 at one point. But yeah, Chris Kirk has battled his way back and picks up a huge win for him. Great start to the year for him. This is the calendar year PGA. This was the first event. There's no rollover from the fall this year. So it's nice that this is the start. From what little I heard of the broadcast, I thought Kevin Kisner did a great job. I know he's not like the permanent color guy for NBC, but the little bit that they showed that I heard of him, I thought he did great. I think he brings a nice, unique perspective. Not afraid to speak his mind. He brought up the "See Woo, Shaking That Ass" song. I love that. "See Woo, shaking that ass" from the President's Cup a couple years back. So that was nice. Some good showings from guys who top 10 this week. Jordan Spieth, Sahith Theegala, Little B, Brian Harman, and Colin Morikawa all had good showings. This will be 7 years if we get through this year, and Jordan Spieth has not won a major, so we're kind of on that watch. Obviously, we're always on the Rory watch to see if he can win a major. Colin Morikawa, can he kind of get back to that stretch where he won 2 majors already? But good showings from all those guys to start. Like I said, I didn't see much, so I don't have a ton to say. And then Sony Open out in Hawaii this week. Wailea Country Club, I believe. So I probably won't see a ton of that one either. Just looking at the PGA Tour schedule, the first event that really, kind of speaks to me. Genesis is always fun. That's also the week after the NFL season ends. But we got Sony, American Express, then the Farmers at Torrey Pines. That's usually a pretty decent tournament. Then AT&T Pebble Beach the first week of February. I think that is also kind of a designated event now. I know with the Pro-Am it's a little funky. So Pebble Beach, Farmers, Pebble Beach, Phoenix, that feels where the season really kicks off. You get some great tournaments. You get Pebble Beach, Phoenix, Genesis, Honda at PGA National, the Arnold Palmer, kind of all in that first stretch leading up to the Players. So excited for some golf to be back. Going to be very excited when the NFL season ends. We'll need something to watch. So that's the golf update for this week. Time for some passing thoughts. We're going to kick it off with the Unusual Whales posting about the full report on politicians trading the stock market in 2023. And it says, like every year since 2020, U.S. politicians beat the market, and many in Congress made some unusually timed trades resulting in huge gains. None other leading the way than a gentleman by the name of Brian Higgins. Brian Higgins is a Democrat from New York. He represents New York's 26th congressional district out near Buffalo and Niagara Falls. Just for a little kind of a baseline here, the S&P 500 returned yields of about 25%, 24.8%. Brian Higgins had some returns of checking in just shy of 239%. He outgained the S&P 500, the 500 best companies in America, by roughly 10 times. 238.9%. Don't worry. He was followed up by Mark Green, Garrett Graves, and David Rozier, all Republicans clocking in with returns of over 100%, 122, 107, and 105, respectively. Some other names: Seth Moulton, Ron Wyden, John Rutherford, Richard Blumenthal. I think he also has a stolen valor thing going on. The greatest trader maybe ever, Nancy Pelosi. She racks up a 65% return. Who else on here is kind of a bigger name? Mark Wayne Mullen and Dan Crenshaw, 40 and 38% respectively. Dan Crenshaw way down from last year. He was, I believe, the second or third best last year. He's really fallen off. Mitch McConnell, just terrible, 18%. Right there with Marjorie Taylor Greene, also at 18%. Tommy Tupperville, 17%. He's been making a lot of funky things. Ro Khanna at 12%. I mean, there's some people underneath there. Anybody else big on the above list? Any big names? Susan Collins. She's a Republican. She Maine, I think. These fucking people are goddamn the fucking worst people in the world, and they fucking run our country. They're just so fucking crooked. Oh, and Brian Higgins is resigning from Congress in February of this year. So he's like, you know what? We're just gonna get one. We're gonna get a little on the way out. He's like, I did my time. I'm gonna cash in. Why not? Fuck it. Oh my god, what a fucking absolute douchebag that guy probably is. I do have to give credit to someone I bang on quite often on this topic. It kind of just rolls in. John Fetterman, Quiver Quantitative, is put out a tweet that he is co-sponsoring a bill that would ban congressional stock trading. And this account claims they have not seen him trade any stock while in office, and that his net worth is estimated to be around $1.1 million. I think he's a trust fund kid, though, so I think there's plenty of money around. But still, props to this guy. I mean, maybe he's not fucking coherent enough to do it, but props to him for putting his name on a bill that's going to ban congressional trading. Because it's fucking insider trading. Like, people go to jail. People go to jail. Does it look better this way? No, it looks better the other way. People go to fucking jail for this. Fucking, they sent Martha Stewart to jail, but fucking Brian Higgins from fucking Buffalo, New York, he's a fucking genius. 238%. Right. Okay. Sure. Oh my god. But yeah, props to fucking John Fetterman. Sometimes he can't say words, but you know what? He wrote his name down on a bill I can get behind. So I'll give the dude props. I saw this. So somebody from Joe Biden's office, because we all know Joe Biden does not run his own Twitter, tweeted, "You can't be pro-insurrection and pro-America," which is incredible because he tweeted that. Well, somebody in his office tweeted that on the 5th of January of the year 2024. The Babylon Bee on July 27th of 2022 has a headline that says, "You can't be pro-insurrection and pro-America," says president of nation founded by an insurrection. You can't make it up. These guys, like, it's the Babylon Bee is predicting things nowadays. I did see that, and I didn't see that someone quote tweeted. I'm like, I hope that someone knows that, like, that's how this country was formed, and they're just trying to use that fucking insurrection term. Fucking insurrection, my butthole. Oh, this parlays with last week. I mean, who knows if this is real? It's it was Men's Humor posted. It's a picture of a tweet from Bill Dixonish at Bill Dixonish on Twitter. When I was 17, I went to get a Limp Bizkit tattoo when they wouldn't let me because I didn't have a guardian's approval. I cried and punched a lamppost. 3 months later, I was allowed to take on $119,000 in loans to go to art school. Just following up on our college talk last week. $119,000 to go to art school. Art school. What do you do with an art degree? Nobody fucking knows. In the better part of the world, a man that brought the sports world together, the golf world, and influenced many, many more. Jersey Jerry and his hole-in-one attempt. 37 hours. There was a slight sleeping break in there. 2,628 attempts. He finally makes a hole-in-one. He had the world behind him. Many pro golfers, Brooks Koepka, Max Homa, Tom Brady, of all people. He had all sorts of golf tours tweeting at him. Tom Brady tweeted, it's darkest just before the dawn. He showed him on the bench of the Super Bowl when they were losing to the Falcons down 28-3. Then when he got it, Brady put it up. I mean, there were like 80-some thousand people. Was it 80-some thousand? Maybe it was like, I know at one point it was like 45, 50,000. I thought it got up to like close to 80,000 people watching the streams on Jerry After Dark. But just absolutely incredible. I fucking loved it. And then you had the fucking losers. The fucking losers. What are you talking about this? I mean, what? It's just it's a video game. You celebrate when you make a video game? Fuck off. Losers. They're all losers. All losers. Also saw over this last week, Pat McAfee was taking shots at a guy by the name of Norby Williamson. Norby Williamson apparently is a big wig at ESPN, runs Sports Center, was a producer on Sports Center, I guess. Pretty high up the list of people. Not quite Jimmy Pitaro. I think he's like the third in line. There's Jimmy Pitaro, who runs ESPN. There's one other guy, and then there's this Norby Williamson guy. And McAfee accused him of like leaking numbers to about McAfee's show out to like try and like shit talk him, I guess. I don't know. But McAfee was like calling him out, saying he has no respect for him on his show. And then it just an absolute baller move, takes that guy's boss to the Colts game in his suite like 2 days later, and then starts talking about it again today. I had McAfee's show on for a little bit, and he's talking about it again today, about doubling down. He's like, I don't like that guy. I liked all the other guys at the ESPN. I like the crew. Just absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. I found out percentages are reversible. So, like, I have to have I'm clicking on my calculator on my computer right now. So, like, 75% of 80, so 80 times 0.75 is 60, which would mean 80% of 75 is going to be 62. So, 75 times 0.8, 60. Just amazing things. Let's try another one, gents. 55. So let's do 63% of 55 is 34.65. So 63 times 55%, 34.65. Unbelievable. Blew my mind. Unreal. Just a couple more things here. The Instagram account Pipebomb67 is absolutely phenomenal. It's a pro wrestling account, and it shows all sorts of old pro wrestling, usually on the day of, this day in X year, and shows, great clips, has a lot of clips. They're broken down into, segments on Instagram. So you can kind of, if you're looking to get past the part to get to something else in it, you can get through it quickly. Just absolutely incredible. Pipebomb67, one of my favorite follows on Instagram. And speaking of pro wrestling, The Rock was back this past week. I don't know if I talked about this. Maybe I talked about this last week. I could have talked about this last week. If I did, I'm sorry. The Rock teased a match with Roman Reigns. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I'd like to see it. Rock's back. CM Punk comes back. What's The Rock do? He immediately comes back and steals WrestleMania main event from him again. No main event for you, CM Punk. Okay, let's go wrap this thing up. Closing time, everybody. Okay, all done for this week. Thank you, as always, to everybody. Appreciate you guys coming out, listening, watching. You guys know the deal. If you could, share the show, but I appreciate the hell out of you guys. We're going to be back next week. NFL playoffs are starting. We got more golf going on. College basketball is heating up. We got our Flyers. So a lot more stuff going on. A huge thank you to Kevy, as always, man that puts this thing together for us. So thank you, everybody. We're back next week. Till then, peace.